Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss, yes, that's right, another catastrophe of a PMQ's performance from Badenoch, and one which is increasingly worrying Conservative MPs, as, if anything, she's just getting worse. Today she demanded something from Starmer, not unusual, and had all 6 questions ready to pretty much make her case, but the Prime Minister essentially agreed with her from the off and said that he was going to do it. Did Badenoch then switch to another line of questioning? No, she didn't have one, so she was committed. So she spent the rest of the questions basically demanding Starmer do a thing that he'd already agreed to before she even stood up. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So I won't go too much into Labour's new immigration promotion strategy here. I've already had my piece on it. It's dancing to Farage's tune. You can understand it of the Tories. They have no music of their own. Labour do. Take the latest policy, that of not allowing asylum seekers who come to the UK via irregular routes from ever being allowed to apply for UK citizenship. Now, the Home Office have explained that this is not new. It's left over from the Conservatives, and it's like, yeah, sure, but you're doubling down on it instead of getting rid of it. And rights and wrongs aside, it doesn't work strategically. Labour are saying that this group of people will have permanently fewer rights than other people in the country. But Farage is saying that those people won't be in the country at all. So talking about first or second class citizen rights won't enter into it. Labour can attack Farage where he's vulnerable, the NHS and workers' rights. But I've already discussed this recently. My position is the same. What's really new today is that Badenoch doesn't prepare secondary lines of questioning when the first one falls. So background first. This relates to a story pushed by the Telegraph whereby some Gazans are using the Ukrainian asylum application system. And a judge has ruled that, yeah, this is all perfectly legal. Badenoch, of course, is complaining about it, but it's her government who created the scheme and, of course, created the loophole that is allowing this unintended use. Obviously, we can point out that if there was a universal safe system to allow anyone being persecuted or having their home destroyed by climate change to apply for asylum, then this wouldn't be an issue. Still, separate issue. Let's focus on Badenoch's project moron for now. So, she decides to bring this up at PMQs. She says the judge's decision is completely wrong. Now, Starmer agreed that the outcome was wrong, but that it was a decision made by the last government, the Conservative government, of which Badenoch was a cabinet minister. Starmer then said that the Home Office would be closing the loophole. So, end of story, right? Well, Badenoch complains about a loophole. Starmer says he's closing it. Move on to something else. Surely there must be something else she could move on to. Only, no, she had nothing else to move on to. She was obviously expecting the Prime Minister to defend the system, despite the fact, he's been leaning into anti-asylum narratives recently. This was a Tory system, which makes it easy to attack and change if you're a Labour government. But this obviously didn't occur to her or her advisors. Game theory, not really their strong point. They thought Starmer would have to support the judge's decision, completely failing to realise that Starmer would be highly motivated to capitalise on positioning himself against it. After all, it's a situation that has arisen, not because a judge has got something wrong, but because the Tories were shit at implementing immigration systems. And right now, for reasons best known to themselves, Labour want to make a big song and dance about being tough on asylum. How did nobody in Badenoch's team actually think about this? But anyway, they didn't. So Badenoch spent load more questions pushing the same question, which allowed Starmer to keep pointing out that the current immigration framework is that left by her party. She should know that. Her party, what was it, a couple of days ago, decided to oppose Labour's immigration bill. And it's like, so you know that Labour's immigration legislation isn't in force yet. So you know that the immigration laws we have in the country right now are down to the Conservatives. Why would she want to draw attention to that? And then she finished with an absolute beauty. So she did seem to have another question. So there's a case of someone who's been working for the government on a sort of working from home basis. Now, Tories really going on about this, right? But their home was Finland. Again, the press were wanting to make something of this as well. And Badenoch brought it up. But that allowed Starmer to point out that the person in question was hired by the Conservative government, who allowed them to work from Finland for 5 years, but that now, under the Labour government, they're going to be working from the UK full-time. I mean, various commentators couldn't believe what they were watching here, judging by their reactions after that PMQs. As bad as I think Starmer's team are getting too many things wrong right now, they look like 4D chess grandmasters compared to Project Moron. It was like Starmer himself had written Badenoch's questions for her with strict instructions not to deviate from them. You know, when Labour start getting NHS waiting lists tumbling down, is that when she's going to decide to start talking about healthcare? You know, there was a recent article that was quoting some in the Conservative Party saying they're a bit frustrated with Badenoch's lack of, well, elbow grease, really. Like, she won't engage with the media. She doesn't like doing media stuff. I'm not surprised. She's not very good at it. But she's never going to get her party moving forward without some effort. She's got to put herself out there. She's completely out of her depth. There are local elections in 2.5 months' time. It's not very long to go. There's like just over 80 days. The clock is ticking. She was already up against it because the last time most of these seats were up for grabs was during the vaccine bounce of 2021. So the Tories did artificially better than they might otherwise have done. So the Conservatives are now expecting losses. But now it looks like, you know, they're going to go into these local elections with Reform UK ahead of them in the polls, unless something mad happens in the next couple of months. Which means many voters may think that Reform UK are the right-wing party to back. If they do, these local elections could turn into a rout for the Tories. Badenoch will have been leader for half a year, which isn't, it's not loads of time, but some will think it's enough time to at least show progress. You expect once you're in opposition, you are going to avoid the punch the government in the nose vote. So they won't get to use the usual complaints they've been using over the last few years. So if the results are really terrible, I mean, they're not going to be great for them. But if they're really terrible, I mean, there's going to be murmuring. It would probably be mad for the Tories to openly talk about getting rid of her at that point. But there will be chuntering. It will mean more lost councillors, a further breakdown of the local party infrastructure, making it all the harder to get out to speak to voters directly on the doorstep. And if Badenoch's not even trying to talk to them through the media interviews, it's like, so how are the Conservatives actually engaging the public then? You know, she's not prepared to discuss detailed policies. And obviously, unlike Labour, she can't demonstrate delivery now. The only power the Conservatives have to win voters over is the power of persuasion. Labour, as bad as they are at that, in a couple of years' time can at least go, look, we did that. That made your life better. Conservatives can't. They've lost that power. So how does she expect those poll figures to look any better by the end of the year? Right now, the Tories' best hope is that Labour start to fight back a lot better and a lot sooner against Reform UK and chip away at that poll rating, because the Conservatives aren't going to. But like I say, Labour seem to think they should wait longer before talking about something that could actually hurt Reform UK. Badenoch will not be Conservative leader in 2027. Right now, you wouldn't bet on her even making it to 2026. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.